Okay, so recording is running. Now, can you see my screen yet? I'm going to hit share screen. And there.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so this is what we're going to walk through this week. I have these 5 topics to look at. And so what do you know about the Internet of Things, very briefly? What is it? You have any idea what it is?
I remember talking about it in one of my other classes before.
Okay.
I remember. I feel like it was some type of like networking type thing or something.
Yeah.
If I remember right.
Yeah, what we used to do in one of the previous iterations of this course, I've been teaching it for a while, is we said, imagine you have a refrigerator and your refrigerator keeps track of what you have in it. And when the peas, because you love peas, when the peas level in your refrigerator goes below a certain level, it orders replacement peas.
Okay.
Now that sounds sort of far-fetched, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, are you ready for this one?
Yep.
Bought a brand new HP multi-use printer. Guess what it has? It has a feature, built-in feature that if we choose to enable it, whenever any particular color of ink reaches a certain level, it will automatically order a replacement cartridge of ink. Now, that's not much different from that refrigerator, is it?
No.
So there you go. It's already there.
Okay.
All right. So, all right. And then artificial intelligence is a little bit about AI, which is a big upcoming thing. And then personalized service, making things personal for each people, and what an IT growth curve means, and a little bit about recycling, which is what we're having a big go green discussion now, right? In the class.
Yeah.
All right, so that's this recycling. It also has to do with the IT growth curve. It sort of mixes those things together. Our discussion does. Okay, so here's a little bit about the Internet of Things. Cars, watches, airplanes, refrigerators. Imagine you have a smart watch, if there is such a thing, and it tells you how far you have walked, how many calories you have used, right?
Oh, yeah.
It can also monitor your blood pressure, your heart rate. It can monitor your body for changes that might precursor a heart attack or anything else, literally diabetes, just all of that. My wife's an ND, and she has some equipment that she can clamp on a person's wrist or somewhere, and she can run an EKG.
Yeah.
Okay, so all of that is networked, and the Internet of Things is very, very insecure or unsecure, whatever kind of topic we want to have there, however you want to call that. It's very open, and imagine.
Is this basically just the connection between all these?
Yep.
In some sort of, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's our connection is wireless. This is a wireless printer here.
Yeah.
It could just as easily be wire full, but it's still open to anybody that wanted to, how do I know that somebody does not want to use my printer? I don't know.
Yeah.
We do have the thing connected through a router with passwords and security, but that's what I do. Now, this is expanding very rapidly. You probably at some point, if you ever saw the movie Enemy of the State, I'm not sure, right?
I don't know if I've seen that, but
you might want just for fun. It's an older movie. It's about a guy that was put under surveillance, and they had things in his shirt, in his shoes, in his socks, in everything that he put on was connected to the internet, so that the person that wanted to know where he was and what he was doing knew where he was and what he was doing and who he was talking to the whole time. And so it's not too unusual right now, like an RFID tag. Why not? Why not sew an RFID tag into your shirt, and then the person that sold that shirt to you can tell where you are, how many times you've washed it, right?
Yeah.
It sort
That
of reports everything. Yeah.
trying to think if it was brought up in this class or one of my other classes, but we had a discussion a little bit about employers microchipping their employees to pretty much it was for access to their building and different authorizations to get in different rooms and whatnot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it would be tracking and whatnot, and
Mm-hmm.
it was an interesting discussion.
Well, instead, what they do is they build it into a badge and you wear the badge.
Yep, and that's what I have too. So,
Yep. I mean,
yep.
we've had those things where if you walk down the wrong corridor, lights go off and alarms sound and people run out with guns, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, maybe not, but probably. Okay. So anyway, this IoT, that's Internet of Things, if you have seen anything about internet addresses, you've seen this thing IPv6, which just means Internet Protocol version 6. All that they did was add more addresses. They changed the addressing scheme so that they could distribute a lot more addresses. I mean, if you're going to have 50, 60, or 100 IP addresses for one person, that pretty much swallows up a lot of the available addresses, okay?
Okay.
That's the whole deal between IPv6. That's why they did that.
Okay.
All right, so it's expanding, and that's why, and this is how they're accounting for it. The only thing is, we've been, quote, expanding to IPv6 for about 10 years now, and it's still not mandatory. So there you have that, all right? Okay, back to AI, artificial intelligence. There's been a real big explosion in growth in artificial intelligence, a big effort. It's like, who wants to have the smartest artificial intelligence, right? Well, if you talk to IBM, they say they do. And Amazon is pushing for one, and Google is pushing for one. And so they have all these different things. So, but then here's the deal on that is, who sets the parameters? You know, in the discussion threads this week, we talked about this. We said, well, wait a minute. If computers do everything, what do we do? Well, you have to define everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So,
but, I mean, at the same time, it always seems like there's always going to have to be a need for people to work on those machines. You would think.
Yeah, you want to bet? Let's think about this. In one of the classes that I'm teaching, they say, well, we have automated, self-correcting, this sounds like Terminator stuff, self-healing computer systems. And so is there really a need for a person? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay. And so there's this big focus on machine learning. And then the question here, what kind of effect is it really going to have on the rest of us? So, but here's the answer to that, right? We, as the rest of us, we set the operational parameters. We, okay? And so we has to say, well, how far are we going to go with this? Why not? All right. So that's a bit on artificial intelligence. Now, how about personalized service here? Think about this. You have a cell phone probably, right?
Yep.
We probably have 4 or 5. We throw them in a drawer after the battery dies and we go down and buy another one. I mean, they're only $25 a piece. Okay.
Right.
But one of the techs that used to work for me said, and this was 15 years ago, he said, I worked for the cell phone companies, and when they, meaning the cell phone companies, put out a cell phone, they all had GPS built in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so he said, yes, they did that. And he said, so where's the revelation of all of a sudden now people are complaining about somebody knowing where they are when they have a cell phone? And I just looked at him and I said, well, I guess not too much of a revelation, huh?
Just people are becoming aware finally, I guess.
Yeah. And so what do you have that's a little Australian company. It's called Wumdrop, and I have no idea how they came up with that. But what it does, if you go online and order something, it delivers to you where your cell phone is, not to your house.
That's interesting.
Okay. So you look up, like the Amazon drone or something, and you look and here comes this drone. It's going to follow you around all day until you finally decide you're going to take delivery or something like that. But that's what it does. It delivers to the GPS from your phone.
Huh.
And now, as we said earlier, you can mix artificial intelligence with the Internet of Things, which means now you have this thing called, what was the Terminator movie they had? Skywarn, remember that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Well, there actually is such a thing as Skywarn. It's a weather alert system, but for the movie, it was sort of an exciting thing with an artificial intelligence based with a lot of inanimate or non-human devices. So look at some of this personalized service, kiosks, everybody's going, oh, I really like that. It does not mess up my order like the person that stand behind the counter that really cannot understand what I'm saying. I have trouble. You stand there and they talk to me and I go, what did she say? But so yes, the kiosk does work. But look at what happened here. Instead of having 3 or 4 people that work in that restaurant, you've now put in an Internet of Things machine.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened to those 3 or 4 people?
I guess they don't have a job anymore.
They have no job anymore. Sometimes that's not a good thing.
No.
Okay. And besides that, think about this. If you had a choice of going to a restaurant where you could use the little kiosk thing to order, or you walked in and you sat down and there was a major domo that walked up to you with the white cloth on his arm, escorted you and your partner over to the table, sat you down, the violin person came out. Okay, all of that personal attention, you're going to lose that, but then you'll pay for the personal attention, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so personalized service based on Internet of Things and artificial intelligence. Now, here's this other one. This is very interesting, and I think we're just about at the end here. It's the IT growth curve, and you go, what is that? Well, here's what is that. If you look at these 4 different, I'm going to go ahead and edit and get rid of that silly dot there. I'm not sure why I have a dot there.
Okay.
But it will not let me get rid of the dot there. Okay. IT goes through, it used to think that it went through 3 stages of development, right? It was just a supply, L-I-E-R, supplier. And maybe I can get rid of the dot now. Okay, well, we got rid of the dot. Okay, so I'm going to save that while I can. It was just a basic supplier. It provided services. That's what a lot of companies still get their IT doing that, right?
Yep.
Then other companies develop a little bit further past that, and they start using expertise and solutions from their IT. They recognize that there's something that they can use, some MIS function or IS function that they can use, and so they'll use that for maybe to help with marketing, to help with sales, to help with research, to help with some sort of system design, okay? It's a provider, something special. And then they went, well, wait a minute, how about a strategic partner? That's where, and everybody talks about alignment, right? Aligning the IS to the organization's strategy. So whatever the IS people do, that helps the performance go up all across the organization. And you'll hear alignment. You'll hear alignment between the HR department and the organization, alignment between management or production management. All of these things, they're all alignment. That's been the biggest thing because no one's got too much further beyond that, right? Alignment, the strategic partner. But here's the other thing. The next step past alignment means enabling MIS or IS to actually create innovation. Very, very few are doing this. These are people that are looking far ahead going, why not try this now? Why not use IBM Watson or something similar to that to help us with this? And we have a brand new process, never used it before. Okay?
Yep.
And so that is going to be, at this point, the farthest reach for IT growth curve. And when it means growth, it's actually dependency. They depend on IT for supplier. They depend on it for solutions. And they depend on it for strategic alignment. And then now here, this is the actual definition for this is IT does not attend the meetings. IT calls the meetings.
Okay.
And that, I think, somebody's a little bit full of themselves when they suggest that, but they're welcome to try. Okay? And then the last slide, this is on recycling. And I have an extra dot up here. My goodness, we just have dots all over. They were not there when I did this. So, okay. Anyway, there's a company called Gazelle. I think it's in Tennessee.
Okay.
And they're under an umbrella with a partner company called Eco ATM, whatever that is. They're in the same building. The Gazelle people repair and process smartphones, broken phones, old phones. You send them in, right?
Okay.
The Eco people, they just take things in and they do not repair anything else. They just ship it out. If somebody will buy it, they ship it out to a wholesaler, okay? But here's the deal on this recycling. They are recycling 15,000 phones a day. That's a lot of phones. And this is just one company in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And when they started, and I'm not sure how many years ago, not too many years ago, they've grown 30 times. 3 times 70, 30 times 7. That's a whole lot, right? From 70 to 300 people.
Oh, yeah.
Because the market itself for recycled, repaired, resold electronics has grown so much.
So how far back would they go for buying phones? I mean, if I were still, I mean, I still have.
Yeah, I would go do a web search for Gazelle repair or Gazelle recycling.
Yeah.
It did not say that they accepted things in by mail or anyway, but maybe they do.
Will they maybe even quote you online or anything like that too? Or
I have no idea, but they're in business, and if they're shipping out 15,000 a day, they're doing some quantity work.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's worth a shot. I mean, most of mine are just collecting dust at this point, so.
Yeah, well, as I said, we have several here, but we started collecting cell phones. Sheesh, we were living in Italy.
Oh, cool.
So that was close to 18 years, 15 to 18 years ago.
Yeah.
So they're still here, but they're the European models. But hey, what the heck, right? They might even work.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
So this on the recycling, that was an article from Tech Republic. So this is from Tech Republic, one of the recent articles. And one of their major issues there, you remember we also talked about green computing, and everybody goes, oh yeah, green computing, that means recycling. Well, it also means eliminating waste in manufacturing processes.
Yep.
And that's one of their big things. They really go for that. The other thing that very few people have talked about in the course thread consists of energy savings by green computing.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm not sure if you know what virtual servers are, right?
For the most part.
Okay. Well, for the most part, virtual servers allow a higher percentage of use out of one machine rather than just that machine is only active when somebody does one thing. You have a whole bunch of virtual servers on it, and the machine is running. If it's going to run, it might as well run constructively. So that's why they put more than one virtual machine on the same server.
Gotcha. Okay.
Virtual servers on the same machine. Okay, that was the deal behind that. And probably about 10 years ago, the company that I worked for had an epiphany. I mean, I had told them 5 years before, guys, why are you not using virtual servers? Oh, what's that? And I went, oh, Lord. Okay. And so they had an epiphany, and all of a sudden they were beginning to use virtual servers because they could realize a 30 to 50% reduction in power use, which was a big thing. And one other thing, and we talked about this last week before we close, the cooling, right? Cooling, servers run, the computers get hot.
Yeah.
And so what do you do with the heat? Well, one thing people said was, well, why not? And I said this probably about 4 years ago. I says, well, it's cold in the Arctic. It's cold in the Antarctic. Why not go ahead and put your server farm out there where it's cold? And you don't worry about the heat, except maybe you do environmentally, right? If it's hot in one place where it's normally cold, maybe you're changing the environment. Nobody's complained about it. But I have read that they're literally moving servers out to colder places, which is a good thing. So that's one way. And then another way is, as we said, to use virtual servers. And what they do in Europe on some electronic racks is they put Stirling engines. You know what a Stirling engine is?
Not exactly, I don't think so.
Okay, this was invented in about the 1870s. Wow, really modern stuff. But what it is a heat difference engine, which means all you do is expose one part of it to heat. It absorbs the heat and it starts moving the piston. And as the piston moves from one end to the other, it moves from a hot zone to a cold zone. It gets to the cold zone and it moves back to the hot zone. It goes to the hot. So guess what? It is an external combustion engine. And if you put it on top of something that is hot, it will literally drive the engine and make the engine run and generate electricity. So guess what? Out of your server, you're also generating electricity. And the latest thing is called liquid cooling. And I'm sure you might have read about some of the gamers that really, really overclock their microprocessing off of their right? They all have liquid cooling.
Yep.
Well, the big thing, and they're doing this in Europe as well, is liquid cooling the servers.
Okay.
So, that's some of that recycling, eliminating waste, and reducing energy. Okay, that's what I had. Do you have any questions on anything? Either you or who else do we have here? We have someone else that's in.
Oh, you know that. For me, I don't have any questions, though.
Okay, you do not. So I hope this is worthwhile for you. We'll go over different topics next week. And of course, they apply to what we have either just finished studying or what we're studying during the week.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jake.
I appreciate it.
Who else is there? Say hello. Say hello. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the share and stop the recording. And then we will, I'll post this up into the announcements after we get through with everything. Okay?
All right. Sounds good.
So we'll see you. See you next week. Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good night.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.